How's it going, guys? Joey Franzo here of Flex Training Systems, as you can see. And this is the part 2 in the Nationals 2016, USAPL Raw Nationals 2016 recap series that I'm trying to do. Just wanted to make a video, one dedicated for each one of the days of the competition, just kind of talking about my thoughts and what happened, especially in that primetime session, because that's where we had the toughest battles. That's where the top lifters were, and that's where I was able to I coached every single session in the primetime session, and it was almost impossible for me to get through all of the morning sessions because there were just so many. And so yeah, we're gonna pick up Thursday. I believe it was is it Thursday? No, it was it was Thursday. Thursday is when we had the 74s, the 83s, and pretty much all the smaller men's classes before that. And what girls did we have on that day?
52s.
No, you're the day before. You're the next day.
Or the 57s.
Nope, Millie's the next day too.
You're right.
I think it was the really tiny girls.
But you forgot the 59s. Shorty was in there too.
Yeah, so all the smaller men's classes. But yeah, basically I was able to handle all of my lifters in the morning. We did really good. I don't really have specifics off the top of my head because there were just so many of them. And then we got into the primetime session. Okay, so Thursday, it was kind of rough because it was the first primetime session they had ever done. Technically, this is the first primetime session ever that I know of at a national meet. And they started really, really late. I think they started at like 10. I know that John Haack, for those of you that don't know, his third deadlift didn't actually hit the ground until I think it was 1:40 in the morning. Originally they were supposed to start at 5:30 and I got pushed back. So imagine you take a pre-workout, you start warming up, and they're like, hey guys, we're not ready yet, we're gonna start in an hour. So we're like, whatever, chill out. And then they do it again, and then they finally did it the third time. We didn't actually start. The start time was supposed to be 8:30, but they had to introduce all the referees, kind of give a little intro for the people on the stream. And yeah, so 10 o'clock, we're squatting. So I'm just going to go through, I had 3 lifters this day in the primetime session. I'm just going to go through each of them, one at a time, and then just kind of go through what was going through my head and what we were dealing with on the platform. So first lifter, Shorty, Sadang, he's been with me for, almost 20 months, I think. Definitely close to 2 years. He's come up a lot. He was the number 1 seeded 59 coming into this competition. And we came out with squats, and he did great. He hit all 3 of his squats. I think he ended with 435, which is insane squat for Shorty. It was either 429 or 435. Either way, it was a huge PR for him. And we're definitely on point with what his training kind of indicated leading up to the meet. Moving on to bench, he actually came out and he missed his first bench, and that's never happened before. I've never had somebody miss their first bench like that. It just seemed his handoff seemed kind of weird, and his arms were they weren't bent all the way. And Tina needs to turn her music down. And yeah, so he missed his first bench, came back, and I don't know if you guys have ever dealt with this, but if you miss a first lift, it messes you up. Mentally, you're just I'm not in the meet. I'm going to lose. Oh my God, why did I miss? I'm going to get disqualified. It messes you up. It's definitely something that will rattle you. I've seen very few lifters be able to miss an opener, kind of just shake it off, come back, and do what they need to do. But this isn't this isn't the only lifter that misses his opener this meet, and we're gonna get into that a little bit later. So he comes back, goes for a second bench, he gets it no problem. We take a small jump because his bench is just off for whatever reason, and it's not there. I believe we tried either 314 or 308 I only jumped 2.5 kilos from his opener, and he didn't get it, which sucked. I mean, it just seemed like whatever he did in training and, whatever he did on the warm-ups came in the platform. It's a completely different story. They were doing really long pauses all weekend. Like, I don't complain about pausing. I don't complain about judging, really. It's just this weekend, it was like 2.5, 3 seconds. You're not getting anything faster than that. And, we programmed long pauses, but it just wasn't enough. So, I don't know. Maybe we need more. And then, so coming into deadlifts, we're ahead by a little bit, but the opponent is, Shorty's opponent is a big deadlifter, which means he's going to go later in the flight. And Shorty weighed in slightly heavier than him, so we can't tie him or we'll lose on body weight. And basically, they both hit their first 2 deadlifts. Shorty's looked good. Immediately after he walked off the platform, I thought to myself, he's got another 10 kilos. The other guy, Bill, I think is his name, it was like a grinder. The bar was vibrating. I said to myself, this guy has no more than 5 kilos. Like, that's it. Like, I thought he had 2.5 left. It was like the hardest pull I've seen on a second attempt. So I'm feeling really good, and I'm thinking, you know what? Let's be safe. There were a couple other people there that were talking to me, telling me that we should, drop it to be safe. And I was thinking about doing that. I had like 3 different cards written out to submit to the table, because you're allowed to change your deadlifts multiple times when you're, in a close fight like that. And I said, you know what, I'm going to drop Shorty's opener down. I know he has like a little ramping problem, and they're calling everything super strict here. I think the right call is to go 7.5. It's going to force his opponent to jump 5. There's no way he has 5 based on that attempt. But, I think there was a misload. They ended up taking a little bit longer, so everybody got a little bit more rest. Shorty's a weaker deadlifter, so he's going to go first. Shorty ends up hitting his 3rd attempt. It looked better than it did before, probably because he had longer rest. And I started, beating myself up, saying, hey, you know what, maybe I should have jumped that 10 just to, seal it. And the other guy, Shorty's opponent, goes, and it's literally, it was like a 6-second rep. I think there was downward motion, and I think it passed 2-1. It was the hardest lift I've ever seen. And the guy pulled it out of nowhere, and he tied Shorty, and he ended up winning on body weight. And that was a really shitty way to start off the primetime session, to have somebody come so close. We should have never been in that position, because bench press should have been handled. But when you're at a national meet and stuff happens like that, this is a level of lifting that I think a lot of lifters and new and upcoming coaches don't really deal with. I dealt with a similar situation at Worlds with Matt Cronin. I don't know if you guys know about him, but he's coached by my son, Noriega. He was going against a guy from Kazakhstan, and it was a very similar situation. But Matt had missed his first deadlift opener, so it opens the door for the competition to come up and catch you. So Shorty, he wasn't mad about it. He was actually happy. He had the best meet of his life, considering, that there were a couple mishaps here and there. Traveled across the country, made the primetime session, finished 2nd on body weight. So I know Shorty's the stronger lifter. I didn't put the right weight on the bar. So, it's on me. It's a very small, minor thing. I made a judgment call based on what the opponent did, but it costs you big sometimes. So that's just going to make me hungrier when I'm programming Shorty's training, to push him even harder, to make him even better, so that next year nobody even comes close. So Shorty, if you see this, I love you, man. You did your job, and I will deliver for you the next opportunity that I get, hopefully in March at the Arnold. Yes, so next lifter we're going to talk about is Noriega. So interesting little situation here. Coming from the warm-ups to the platform, Sean was probably the ugliest opener I've ever seen. It was 551. He was just all over the place. He was whipping under the bar. It just looked terrible. And I took a small jump, a 5-kilo jump. His opponent, Charlie Dixon, missed his opener. That's unexpected. So that was on our side. Sean comes back, 562 second attempt, good. Charlie comes back. he misses his second attempt. Now, I probably should have mentioned this sooner. Charlie we knew coming in that Charlie was going to be the guy to beat. Charlie is a phenomenal lifter in the 83 kilo class. He's the biggest 83 I think I've ever seen. And, all Sean could think about coming up to the meet is we got to beat Charlie, we got to beat Charlie, we got to beat Charlie. He probably said that to me 100,000 times. And, the fact that Charlie missed his first two, Charlie's a huge squatter also, and I knew that if that lift doesn't go well for him, we're going to be in the money. Sean hit his second attempt. It looked better than his opener. I jumped another 5 to 573. Mind you, this is the meet that Sean failed at the Arnold last March. So it's kind of like redemption, to come back and conquer that. Charlie, I don't know what he did. I think he only took 584, which is his opener, I think. He got it. Sean nailed his third, and it looked better than his opener and his second attempt. So he started to come to life as the meet went on. We're in a better position than I thought we were going to be, in this matchup. Sean's a big bencher. He benches 5-6 times a week, because that's what we've determined together what he needs to, get to where he's at. And he ended with 396. Nailed all his attempts. I think Charlie hit his attempts too, but he took smaller jumps than we did. So we gained a ton of ground coming into deadlifts. But it wasn't over yet. Charlie's a big deadlifter, but Sean's deadlift training. Also, I just wanted to mention that Sean, he actually broke his hand, I think 8 weeks before the competition. And he went with another company, a coaching company, to kind of work on his, he had an imbalance with his knee. And he ended up losing a ton of strength during that whole process. And, he came out, he flew out and trained with me for a week. And we saw that he was very crooked on his squat. He was just sitting up under the bar weird, and we widened out his stance, and it worked really, really well. We stuck with that. He put 40 pounds on a squat instantly, literally instantly, boom. So that was why I thought we had a shot coming into this competition. Deadlifts. Sean missed his opener. He annihilated 600 pounds off the ground, fell forward. Charlie got his, and I thought to myself, well, Sean came here to win. That's all he literally cares about. He'd rather bomb than lose. So we got to go up. So we took his planned second attempt, which was 633. And the same thing happened. And I believe Charlie tore his hand on his second attempt, so he's pretty much done. It doesn't matter what Charlie totaled right now, because Sean has one lift left, and if he doesn't get his third lift, he's out. You're disqualified. You did not register a total. So based on the way that his first and second look, I told him, if you just come out and pull it, it'll be great. It'll be fine. You're not going to have... I think your body's getting used to the platform. It's an Alico bar. It is a very different bar than any bar you'll ever use. It's incredibly stiff and unforgiving. Also, it was getting late, and the platforms were getting kind of beat up, so there's holes here and there. And if you do a wide stance sumo with your feet out, balance is going to be an issue. But like I said, it looked like he was starting to get his groove. He went out. He pulled up 633. He locked it out, and he's in the meet. He beat Charlie. Tears, man, tears. It was crazy. It was crazy for everything to come down to the last lift. Where we messed up was there was another guy who was not on the. He was not in the top. They register all the people's totals. I think he was one of the last guys on the list. Came out of nowhere, and he ended up beating Sean, but given that Sean missed his first two lifts, at that point, you start to say, hey, do we really go for it, or do we just take count your losses? You know what I mean? Cut your losses. And to be honest, we weren't even thinking about him. We were just thinking about beating Charlie, which we were able to do. Charlie, I want to thank you for pushing me and Sean to rise to that occasion. That kind of competition, those kind of lifters are what are going to make us push harder. And if we didn't, I don't think Sean would have worked as hard if he didn't have a great lifter like you pushing him. So I really appreciate that. But all in all, I think Sean totaled like 1602 was his best total ever. He's a perfectionist. He's beating himself up about missing his lifts, and I think he would have won, easily had he not missed his first two. But it is what it is. We say bomb or lose, but when you have one attempt left and you're not in the meet, you don't want to bomb. It's not a good thing, especially at this meet. So, final lifter, John Haack, saved the, I guess, strongest for last, right? Really simple. We didn't have anyone to push us. We didn't have anyone to go against us, but, hard to lift that late. And I had John set up to hit like 1850. 1850, and we're gonna go for 1900 in January. With the cut and him not being able to eat throughout the day and just everything adding up, we finished with 661, which is an American record. So he took his own American record squat. His second attempt bench was 429. 440 was the right call and it would have been there, but he already hit that and he told me he wanted a PR. So we went 446. I was hoping that it'd be there, but I know when I put the number in, I know in my mind like fuck, like. Sometimes, John, he wants to have fun. He's here in prime time. Let him push some weight. Let him go for something big. And, it wasn't there, but no biggie. Shit happens. Like I said, super long pauses. John does a very soft touch, so it's a lot of tension on you when you're trying to pause like that. And then going into deads, he pulled 661, and he won the meet with his opener. He pulled 661 faster than I have ever seen anyone move that weight in my life. That was if I can pull it up right here somewhere, I'll pull it up. But if I should post it on my Instagram because it was like you couldn't even it doesn't even register on the RPE scale because of how fast it was. So I'm thinking, dude, this guy's on today. Like we're gonna pull, mind you, it's 1 a.m. Okay. So, the meet goes on. We jump to 694. John's hit like 745 in training or something like that on a deadlift bar. And, so I'm like, cool, we're going to go 716. We're going to total of 1800. We're going to salvage this, meet. I guess having to wait that long between his opener and his third, he was just toast. He was just tired. I don't blame him. I was fucking tired too. I was starting to reach a point of exhaustion that made me really question whether or not I was going to be able to compete on Saturday. But he won the meet with a 1785 total, which is like, I don't think anyone has ever totaled that in the United States at his weight class ever, aside from like guys on steroids, obviously. But that was insane. He was beating himself up about it. Like I said, these guys have these mentalities where you gotta, if it's not perfect, then you're never gonna be content. But 1785 is a ridiculous total for an 83. He Wilks 541. 541 Wilks. That's not human. That's like he Wilks more than Jesse Norris. So think about that. So my little Johnny boy coming up from a little poverty total, Tina's looking at me. His first total, look it up in USAPL, was not high. I think it was like 13 something or 14 something. But
747.5 kilos. It was still a 500 plus Wilks.
I don't know. He told me it was less. Remind you, USAPL's only been around for 2012, I think. No. The new records, they were like wiped everything. Anyway, that's gonna wrap up Thursday. I ended up going home. Going back to the hotel. I was absolutely destroyed and annihilated. Mind you, I'm still cutting weight for for the meet on Saturday. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoy this kind of format. It's kind of like instead of a podcast, you're gonna get what are we running right now? What's the time?
19 minutes.
19 minutes. So you're gonna get like 20. We'll try to keep it in that range. Go a little bit into detail of what's going on, and the next video we're going to talk about Friday, and that the lifters I had during that session were Jesse Norris, Danny Sullivan, Sam Bernstein, and Tina, my girlfriend Tina. Other than that, thank you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.